Good evening, I'm Sarah from Inkspire Calligraphy, and I'm going to be showing you some basic skills and how to get started with the craft. I'm delighted to be a part of the launch party this evening, and I hope you've had a wonderful day seeing everybody else's makes, and I'm looking forward to catching up with a few too. So I'm going to be talking to you about basic things really, just how to insert the nib into the pen holder, which is quite a common question that I do get asked. How you hold the pen, how you angle your paper. I'm just going to go through a couple of basic drills, and then I'll write something at the end, so you can see if you fancy giving it a go yourself. So everything, you've got to get yourself set up right when you're about to start a little calligraphy project. The good thing about this is anybody can give it a go. As long as you can hold a pen, anybody can give calligraphy a go, and even if you have terrible handwriting, you will be so surprised at what you can achieve if you keep practicing over time. So I mean, I've been doing this now 3 or 4 years, maybe probably a bit longer, but just more watching, videos online and stuff like that. So I took it seriously probably the past few years, and even if I look back at my my journey along the way, my styles change all the time, so please keep up with it, and you will improve so much. So but enjoy it. It's so wonderful. It's just such a mindfulness craft. Anybody can, like I said, anybody can do it. Just enjoy yourselves. Don't take it too seriously, especially modern calligraphy. It's been adapted now, and I think people like things more. You can personalize your notebooks, you can write nice letters to people, you can write pictures for your home, cards. The options are endless. Nice table place names for dinner parties and Christmas. So I could go on forever. So I really hope you like this little intro video to the craft, and if you have any questions, just fire them at me. So, little introduction. So this is your pen holder. I've got this beautiful rose gold one, absolutely love it, and the best thing about it does, if you screw the cap off, it's a little storage for additional nibs. So if you use my go-to nib, it's the G nib. It is amazing, and it's what really most beginners do start off with, but it's just so easy to use, and you can make some gorgeous pieces with it. So this is your nib holder, and then this one, I don't know if you can just see in the centre there, it's just got a little indent just here. Can you see slightly? And that's where you can extend. There's a little extension part, which are also great for people who are left-handed, so you're not dragging your hand back over the ink. But for me, really, I just like to use the central bit. So can you see that circle there? Just about. There we go. Right, so you take your nib, and let's see if I can demo this. Yeah. You see how just popped it there? Ooh, can't do this in reverse. There we go. And just push it down. So then you have your pen and your nib ready to go. So what's the best thing to do really with calligraphy? Because I've learnt the hard way many times. When you do get yourself a bottle of ink, just decant a tiny bit of ink into the cap of the lid, and then put it in a little dish, so then you don't run the risk of knocking it everywhere and spilling it, because I have learnt the hard way and ruined many tables and just general pieces that you've done, and then anyway, it's really annoying. So just make sure, if you can, you only need a little bit of ink as well, so just pop it in there, find yourself a little dish, a little ramekin or something, and it makes such a difference. And you can write in peace then. So when I am a right-hander, so it's tricky for me to always explain about left-handed people. So if you're a right-hander, you will hold your pen and you will angle your paper to the left slightly, so your position like this. You want to keep your shoulders relaxed, just so your hand can flow nicely, really. So you'll be angled to left. If you're a left-hander, you'll be doing it in reverse. Now I think left-handers have a couple of different styles. So you can be an underwriter, which I think is how you hold the pen like a right-handed person would, but you will angle your paper to the right then, so you'll be positioned like this, again, shoulders back. And then an overwriter, I believe you hold your pen over the paper. Like I say, it's quite difficult to explain because I'm not an overwriter. So left-handers, you do everything the same, but where the general rule is when you're going to be doing pen strokes, it's thick pen strokes down and thin strokes up. So it's like the thickness of the backbone of a letter, and then to connect it to the next letter, you take the pressure off and the ink thins out then. So you'll be doing it in reverse. So you'll be doing thick strokes up, thin strokes down. I really have to think about that then, sorry. But it is all explained in in kits in the kits that you'll get. So please just excuse that rubbish explanation. So back to me being a right-hander, sorry. I will now be switching my paper back over, so angled to the left, shoulders relaxed. And to get started, really, you just need, regardless if you're, left-hander, right-hander, this is now standard stuff for everybody. So you just need to understand the pressure that you need to apply to the pen to be able to do straight lines, because, the ink can splay out. So the more pressure you apply to a pen, the more ink comes out. So, I'm sure most of you wrote with fountain pens when you were at school, slightly different, but so you see, if I push my thumb, can you see my finger there? I'm just trying to see how the nib splays out at the end. Can you just see that? So that when you're pressing that down and the nib splays out, then more ink will pop out. So when you're doing strokes down, you need to apply more pressure, so the backbone of the letter, and then you release the pressure to then connect to the next letter. But before you even start that, if you've never picked up a calligraphy pen before, you just need to practice basic pen strokes, really, which sounds ridiculous, I know, but you've got to learn, everybody's has different pressures, so you've just got to learn to get consistent, straight lines across your page. So what I would recommend is the general, do you remember guidelines you used to write with when you were at school? So it was like a thick line in the middle and then two thinner ones on top. Draw some out yourself. As a starter, I'd say 5mm is perhaps, if you're a complete beginner, is maybe a little bit too small. Try 7mm lines, just spacing them out. So you'll start, if you're just going to practice straight lines, just start at the top and just dip your ink in and just straight down. So I've got some examples here. I hope you can see. I'll move the paper down there. So for me, and then what people also ask me as well, actually, how far you need to dip the pen in. Probably say to there, so it just sits in the bottom, I think, because you could just keep redipping anyway. So first time I'm using this for a while. So here goes. So yeah, so dipped in, and then, sorry about that. I told you technology was not my strongest point. I think my iPhone had full storage, which is quite scary. So back to doing some basic pen strokes. So just to kind of learn the basics. So here we go. So dipping the pen back into the ink. I'll just move that bottle out of the way. And then just practice doing thick pen strokes down. And so you'll see here, do you see how the ink sometimes doesn't always flow? That's fine, you can go back over it, but just take your time, because then it might blob out. So you just need to master having consistent thick lines. You see what I'm doing there? I don't want to move too far away in case you can't see. There we go. Can you see? Yeah. There we go. And then, as I said, this is just a whistle-stop tour, so I am being super quick here, but we then have, once you've kind of mastered the pen strokes and being consistent, we then have what's called letter formations, which kind of, they look like shapes, really, that actually make up lowercase letters. So I can show you a couple of basic drills that we do for that, and then it shows you how you would go from never picking up a pen before, learning your basic pen strokes, to doing letter formations, and then actually connecting those letter formations to making lowercase letters, and then actually writing something. So I did think, I would write maybe something just like happy birthday, so it's quite a generic one, everyone can use it, so it might inspire you to try and give it a go yourself. So once you've mastered the pen lines here, so letter formations are where you, like your M's and your N's and those kind of lines that you will link together. So you would go thick down, there we go, told you the nib spray's out. So you go thick down, thin up, thick down, thin up, thick down, and then left-hander you would obviously do that in reverse, but I really unfortunately can't demonstrate that because I wouldn't even make the cut. So can you see how here I'm going thick down, see, thick down, thin up, thick down. And then, so those would be your M's and your N's, and also how to link letters together. I can also show you examples of your O's. So your thicker part of the O will always be down the side. You don't ever want it underneath, like resting on the line. So you would always start kind of at the top and then thick down there. This pen is really not playing ball today. And the same with the C actually, really. So yeah, you want the thick part down the side, not at the bottom, because that's just not going to look nice. And then when you're doing letters like P and your J's, make sure that when all those the part of the letter that goes below the line, you always want it consistent, so it, you know, it looks nice. And then the idea is that all your spacing of your letters are also reasonably equal distance as well, because if we're writing happy birthday, you don't want the H really far over on the page and then the A and the PB and the Y further over, so you just want it to look nice. So it's all just, it just literally is, you just keep practicing, practice, that is the main thing. So this is why the guidelines are so important as well, because they help you to learn about, you know, the lengths that the certain pen strokes should be. Over time now, I mean, only up until recently really, I used to, you know, pencil in the lines for anything that I was working on. Sometimes now as well, you know, from doing a greetings card, which I don't do that often, but if I'm going to do it, I will still find the centre point of the card, I will measure up, measure down, and then you can easily remove the lines at the end once the ink's dry, because the problem is with calligraphy, once you've started something, if you make an error, there's no turning back, you can't correct it, you've got to start again. So sometimes, you know, even professionals are still using pencil lines. Not as much, but we have to. So just, you keep using those pencil lines for as long as you need to, and then but all I say is really make sure you give plenty of time for the ink to dry out, because again, you know, years ago when I was first starting out doing this, I'd used to be really proud of some things that I'd make, think the ink was dry, I'd left it for like half an hour, but you'd be surprised sometimes how long it really does take if you're going to rub out pencil lines. I'd rub it and then all the ink would smudge, so, and it's pretty devastating when you're so proud of something you've made. So really make sure, I mean, even leave it, if you can, 24 hours, leave it as long as you possibly can to dry, but you just need to also make sure that you are using the right paper and card as well, because some shinier surfaces, no matter how long you leave it, is always going to smudge. So really, if you're practicing calligraphy, 120 gram paper is always pretty standard. You just don't want any like gloss finishes, because the ink will just sit on top and rest. So matte, the matte finish, like your normal printer paper, but just that you need the quality stuff, because if you're using anything less than that, the ink will bleed out. Just a few tips there for you. So these drills, on my lines here, because we've got the 3 lines per kind of, well, I don't know what you call it, per little grid, I guess, measured out. So for me, if I'm going to do my J, I'm just trying to put this in focus here, I go down and then bring it, but I'm stopping at that line just here, because that's the end of my thing, and then just curling it back up, but thinly then, so it's like a thick, you can see it defined. I'll just flip it over, see if you can you see that? There. How the J, it just, when you can, oh my god, what is it with me and technology? Sorry, I've just flicked the camera off again. Oh god. So in the meantime, I thought, I know I've been rambling a lot, but I think you did see the J in that previous video, how it goes thick pen strokes down and thin up. So those, if you keep practicing these pen strokes and your letter formations, that's when you then build up to writing something. So just whilst I was getting my camera reset up again, I've already written out happy birthday for you, just to kind of, it's the very, it's the starter letters really, but you all have to start somewhere. So, you know, this it still looks really nice, but over time, the more you develop your skills, the more you will be, you know, able to experiment with different styles and learn different letter formations. So here we go. I just penned here. I hope you can see this now, and I hope I don't flick the flipping camera off again, so I'm sorry about that. Okay. Oh God, what am I doing? Here we go. So can you see how here I just did lowercase letters, just because that's kind of the thing we've been covering really. But how we go thin, can we see that okay? It's thin, thicker down, thin up, thicker down, and again here's thicker. You can just see how the lines are defined when you go down and up. So if you keep practicing that over time, you know, it's very easy to be able to create all these nice little personalised gifts and cards. So all I would say is anybody can give it a go, give it a try. It really is such a wonderful art to learn. And, you know, even get the family involved. I've got, well, both my children turn 3 and 2 next month. I've got pens that I used to write on window displays and stuff. My little girl loves it. So I'm actually actively encouraging her to be writing on windows, which probably isn't a wise idea. But, you know, it's things like that. The kids, you can get everybody involved no matter what the age, really. Like, obviously, my parents love it as well. So I just, I hope this has inspired you to pick up a pen and give it a go. I'm Inkspire .calligraphy over on Instagram if you have any more questions. So I hope you've enjoyed my whistle stop modern calligraphy demonstration, should we say. Sorry about all the technical hitches, do apologise about that. But have a wonderful evening, and thanks for listening. I hope I haven't bored you too much, and I really, you know, good luck with it all. So thanks a lot. I'll stop rambling now. Bye.